Story seed, the goal, motivation, issues, theme, and plot. These are the 6 steps that help me figure out everything I need to get a story started and figure out everything else. Skeptical? Just give it a whirl and see how it vibes with you. Step 1. Story seed. A seed is the basic starting point that your story will evolve from. There are usually 2 jumping off points that are good to start from. Either an intriguing situation or a character who's got a main character vibe. Starting with a theme is also doable, but it's not really my jam. I'll sum up why in step 5. If I'm all about a character, I don't stress about making them 100% figured out or whatever. If there's no existing character that hasn't got my brain going, I roll with an archetype. Like my Grandmaster of Theft series started with the Phantom Thief trope cause I'm a sucker for peeps like Kaido Kid. Now, if you're leaning towards a gripping situation, it's basically about dreaming up a scenario to set the stage. One time, just for kicks, I toyed with an isekai idea. The seed? Someone gets whooshed off to another realm by a genie. The starting point is basically a tiny dot that will expand to all the important things you need to know to reach, well, everything else. Step 2. The goal. Alright, so you've got the story seed in the bag. Next up, you need a solid goal to tie it all together. Why this now? Simple. 1. The goal lays down the bricks for what your characters gotta do, shaping the story's backbone. 2. A clear goal keeps the plot on track. Too vague or too many goals? That's a one-way ticket to a messy story and wandering audience focus. 3. Pick a killer goal, and you've got the audience in your corner, rooting for your peeps. Anyway, here's how you can tell if your goal is top-notch. Answer if it is SMART. SMART stands for specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. Specific, because you want to make it something concrete. Measurable, you need a clear win or lose condition. Actionable, it's got to give you some steps to take. Realistic, makes sense if your protagonist can pull stuff off. Time-bound, a deadline amps up the suspense and stakes. Basically, you want to apply SMART to your story seed and reverse engineer from there. Say you're working from a situation like that isekai genie idea. The protagonist is summoned, right? Their default goal might be to help whoever summoned them or maybe just to get back home. Is this specific? Yep. Is it measurable? Yep. If you don't, you fail. Is it actionable? Probably. Maybe the genie can summon him back and he just needs to help the genie's master. Or maybe get control of the genie himself. There are built-in possibilities. Realistic? If not immediately, maybe he's developing the skills he needs to make it realistic for him. Time-bound? Could be age-related, like they can't afford to miss out of their regular life for too long. Now, the drawback of this exact example I gave is that it makes the protagonist more reactive. Reactive characters often work to prevent something. So, consider your antagonist's SMART goal. They're usually the ones pushing the action. For the isekai genie idea, maybe the hero was summoned to fend off a big bad or something. This isn't a route I'd go, to note. Given the genre and my tastes, I'm more likely to write a story where whoever summoned them is an active lead while the protagonist is more of a support or a decoy protagonist. Or the eyes into this. Who knows? At any rate, the SMART goal would be shaped by this active character. Off the top of my head, I'd maybe make them a pirate princess who acquires the genie and the wish results in the protagonist getting summoned. The summoned person is key to claiming some specific treasure, but neither party exactly knows how yet. From this I still gain someone with protagonist potential and a situation in the form of the pirate princess, who is an active character that shapes the story goal. So, looking at a SMART goals from her perspective, is it specific? Kind of. I can get more dialed in by fleshing out the treasure, like, let's make it a fountain of youth type deal. Measurable? For sure. Actionable? Yep. She's already making moves. Realistic? Totally fits her vibe. Time-bound? I could add a deadline for extra spice. Maybe there's a tight window to get to something. Or maybe the treasure itself can only lock someone at their current age, so the sooner it's found, the better. Either way, this is how you construct from the situation story seed. Just remember that reactive characters are often influenced by proactive ones, who are usually the bad guys or an ally who is the real plot driver. In those cases, focus on the proactive character's goal first, then get down to your hero's response goal. If you're starting from a character, the goal setting vibe is a bit different. I often kick off with their job or a role since that's just immediate goals. Like, for the pirate princess, her gig gives a natural goal with treasure hunting, though there are other possibilities. In my Grandmaster series, the Phantom Thief angle made stealing something a no-brainer, but just stealing is too vague. So, I got more specific in the first book by aiming for a religious relic. Smart? You bet. Bottom line, you've got a protagonist and a situation. You know what they want? Now just flesh out the why. Step 3. Motivations. So you've got a goal, cool. But let's not have your main character just go, oh snap, aliens, or time travel, whoa, or even new world, guess I live here now. Nah, what's really tasty is why all this stuff matters to your protagonist. What's in it for them? Why do they care? You might be thinking, hold on, I haven't even sketched out their backstory yet. No worries. Just a sense of who your character is can be enough to clue you into how they'd react to stuff. You don't have to write a full-on biography. Let's speedrun this with a handy tool called the Enneagram of Personality. The Enneagram is like a deep dive into the why of your character. When you're wondering, why is my guy or gal so dead set on this goal? The Enneagram hooks you up with a structured way to figure it out. Let me show you what I mean with Cassidy Kane, a character I've already written. I roll with Enneagram 8, Wing 7 for her. So, Cassidy's a Phantom Thief, right? According to Type 8's core drives, she's all about survival, for herself and those she cares about. Armed with this, I shaped her into a thief who's about leveling the field for folks who can't get help the regular way. There are extra layers, like she digs the thrill and she's got an ego, but the core is that she's out to help peeps and do justice her way. Switching gears to the pirate princess, her why could be all over the map. If she's a Type 1, maybe she's after eternal youth to keep the pirate society she's built in check for like forever. If she's a Type 2, maybe she wants to be the eternal mom to her crew and their descendants. If she's a Type 5, eternal youth is basically a lifetime library card for all the world's mysteries. No matter the type, it shapes her in a unique way and informs the story being told, even if the goal stays the same. Diving into your character's Enneagram is also a solid seg into step 4, which is all about the lie your protagonist believes. Alright, so you've got the who, the what they're after, and why. Now we just need to turn our attention to what's tripping up your main character, their misbelief. This is basically the lie your character totally thinks is legit. It's like their security blanket of wrong ideas. They hold on to it because it's worked for them before. And guess what? It's a double-edged sword. Helpful in some ways, but it's going to be their downfall if they don't catch on. For our pirate princess from before, if she's vibing with Enneagram 1, she might be super convinced that she's the only one who can do the quest right. Cue them micromanaging and stressing out her crew and striking down the whole operation because she's nitpicking everything. Or, if she's a Type 5, she might think she's gotta understand the whole world before she can, actually do anything. That'll make her stall and miss out on prime opportunities. The key thing here is your story's not just about if your hero scores their goal. It's about what they gotta figure out inside their own noggins to get there. So, welcome to the land of character arcs. We got the uplifting ones, the downers, and the straight up flat ones. Flat arcs are a special breed. They can totally work with this, but you're usually looking at other characters for the real change, while your flat arc main characters are the ones stirring the pot. That's basically a catalyst hero. Think mentor figures who are actually the main star. I'll deep dive into that in another video, trust me. Your previous Enneagram homework is going to be a lifesaver here, because a lot of these misbeliefs are baked into the Enneagram types. So yeah, it all connects. Feeling ready to go Enneagram yourself? I've got a handy link in the description you can use. Take the test as your character. You might get some insights that clarify not just them, but the themes of your story, which, smoothly slides us into step 5. Step 5, Themes. Themes is like your personal twist on what makes us humans tick. It's the nugget of wisdom or the moral of the story, you know? It comes up because your character is super invested in whatever idea your story is zooming in on, and your thoughts on it will dictate how things play out. So, for example, when I'm writing Grandmaster, the story naturally gravitates to themes related to power because that's what Cass is invested in. Theme is the soil for which your stories can grow. But just saying something like power or justice or whatever isn't enough. You have to have something to say about these things. Think, this leads to that. You know, greed leads to downfall or whatever. There's actually a lot more I can say on this, such as designing a counterpoint and avoiding heavy-handedness, but that's a video onto itself. Still, I will say heavy-handedness is part of why I don't recommend starting from a theme as a story seed. It's better to let it grow organically. Oh, and don't fret if you can't spell out your theme just yet though. Sometimes they creep up on you as the story unfolds, but having one in mind can be a lighthouse for your plot. It helps you navigate. And speaking of plot, that brings us to the end of this. Step 6. Plot. Think of your plot like your story's personal trainer. It's there to whip your protagonist into shape, to force them to confront their hurdles by giving them roadblock after roadblock. The plot is basically the obstacle course tailor-made to challenge your character's specific quirks or issues. So, you can custom design all the villains, allies, and plot twists in a way that really make your main peeps sweat. After all, you've got the goal they're working towards. All you need to do is give it the right skeleton on which you can add the flesh. Or are you unsure about which plot structure to use? No worries. There are tons of frameworks to choose that's floating all over. My fave, the 20 plots, is a really great starting point. But hey, don't get all rigid thinking like this is some cookie cutter recipe. This is just a starting block. Stories are these organic living things. They grow and evolve. So even if you begin with one idea, don't be shocked if you find yourself circling back to tweak or totally overhaul something. It's kind of like gardening. Sometimes you go back and prune a bit so that the rest can flourish. And yes, characters can have a change of heart, new subplots can sprout up, all kinds of things are possible. This is all just to give you a foundation to funnel your decisions through. If you want to see how I apply these lessons, and much more, I have a weekly audiobook and companion piece podcast that dives deep into my brain.